Hey guys, Mansingan here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the physical Bojack, the next EZA World Tournament Awakening. He definitely seems like he could be the best one out of the bunch from reading just what they do on paper. So I was saying when I did the data download breakdown video, he actually seems like he could be relatively decent. Obviously we need to see what his numbers are going to look like, but in terms of what he's doing, not only does he seem pretty decent, but they've given him a very good upgrade from his pre-EZA, kind of loosening some of his restrictions a little bit, which is something that we kind of always want to see with these EZAs, right? Because we do want the characters to be more usable and runnable on a bunch of different teams when they get their EZA. So we'll take a look at what he does here. His super attack is greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn. Supreme damage to the enemy greatly lowers defense. And then raise extreme class allies defense by 30% for 2 turns. So obviously greatly raise attack and defense is really good. Lowering defense isn't really that important. And then raise extreme class allies defense by 30% for 2 turns is really, really good. Because obviously if he gets an additional super, then it's going to be 60% for 2 turns. Now, obviously, this guy's build, like, he is kind of designed to be a slot 3 floating unit. So realistically, it is only going to be the next rotation that benefits from that effect. But that's still very good because he's supporting the rotation that he's on with his passive, and then supporting the next rotation with that super attack effect. So he gets 3 key attack and defense 170. The more HP you have, the more extra attack he gets, up to 200%. Then when attacking, he gets 100% attack and defense and disables the enemy's guard, which means he can still do normal damage against STR enemies. And then per Space Traveling Warriors ally or Extreme Class ally on the team, depending which has the most members, he gets 40% attack and defense and gives all allies chance to crit 3%, self-excluded. So pre-EZA, this was only Space Traveling Warriors, which was fine when you could make a good meta like full Space Traveling Warriors team, but then obviously even if he was still like had the potential to be kind of good, ages him out when a full Space Traveling Warriors team becomes like unviable. But now they've added in Extreme Class, which reminds me of the passive of like Demon King Piccolo from the Anniversary, right, where it's demonic power or extreme. So if you run him on a full extreme team, doesn't matter what categories anyone else is on, he gets his full buffs, which 40% for each character, that's your whole team and the leader. That's 7 characters. That's what, 280% extra? And then the crit chance would be 21%, which is to everyone except him. Which doesn't matter, because if everyone on the team is Space Traveling Warriors or Extreme, he gets guaranteed crits, has guard, and then gives all allies attack and defense 30%. So he's giving all allies 2 key attack and defense 30%, then he's buffing the next rotation 30% with his super attack effect, and of course if he gets a second super, then it's 60%. So we're running the double Tech Broly movie bosses team with a bunch of other characters that have big bad bosses. Obviously we can't link up with this Bojack until we transform, so we won't get to see them together for a couple of turns. But we can take a look. His start of turn defense here is 321k with just big bad bosses active. So he's going to get 100% on super, so that puts him up to like 640. His super attack effect should give him, what, about 150. So he's going up to about 800k defense with guard. So that means he's going to be tanking a hit, what, up to sort of like 1.2, 1.3 million-ish maybe. Which, I mean, you know, not necessarily terrible at the start of the event here. I think this Goku Black only supers for 1 million. So if he supers this Bojack, he would take double-digit damage. Obviously, he's already supered Janemba, so we know that that's not going to happen this turn. So this guy, I think I went for the build. I just gave him full dodge. Because obviously on a full extreme team, which I feel like with the stat buff that he gets, and then the fact that he's getting like guard, you're probably only going to run him on a full extreme team. I mean, I guess if Space Traveling Warriors does make a sort of comeback as a full like team, you would then not, like, he would still be getting that buff as well, actually, I guess, because it's full Space Traveling Warriors or Extreme. So it doesn't matter then if, like, some of the Space Traveling Warriors are super class. The only problem is you can't, like, mix and match. You can't have, like, a super class non-Space Traveling Warrior, because that throws it off, right, for the balance. But, yeah, he doesn't need crit in his passive, because as long as you're running him on basically the only team that you're going to run him on, then it doesn't matter, right? He just gets guaranteed crits, so he doesn't need crit in his passive, in his hidden potential. So I just gave him full dodge, and then I put the rest into additional, because of course if he gets that additional super, then he gives the extra buff to the next rotation. And that's going to be a pretty significant amount of like buffing, right? Because here we're keeping him on rotation because he's the showcase character, and we don't want to only have him in the fight like every 4 turns. But you think about if you're floating him off on, let's say, this like movie bosses team, and you're running a rotation of like the physical Janemba and tech Janemba, who not only are very, very strong defensively together anyway, then you throw an extra 60% defense onto both of them. Like, that's a pretty significant buff to what they're already going to be rocking, considering like physical Janemba linked with tech Janemba doesn't take him many supers of like the build up of his passive to already be over 1 million defense, and then you throw an extra 60% on top of that. Like, he's going to be looking very, very good. So this guy like seems relatively good. I think the only downside, of course, is going to be that defense isn't crazy high, right? Because if let's do this, grab an orb for you, and then obviously we're going to get the orbs for Janemba for the extra buff to everybody. But yeah, 306k with only big bad bosses. I mean, at least he has guard, which does cut a lot of the damage off. But the thing is, like, post super, if he's only looking at tanking these attacks that are sort of like 1 million, 1.1 million, obviously we're way past the point where the toughest fights in the game, like, they're doing so much more damage than that. So obviously the full dodge build is going to help. I mean, to be fair as well, 13.7 million attack stat with only big bad bosses active for what is a free to play card is still pretty decent. Because obviously mine is Rainbow full level 10 links, of course. You will be able to get a couple of extra copies if you do the missions from the World Tournament. Obviously, you'll get a couple of copies of him. So if you didn't have him, you'll be able to use him. If you didn't have him rainbowed, you'll potentially be able to finish that off now. Or otherwise, like if you're like me, you already have him rainbowed, I used the extra copies that I actually already had, and will probably use some more from the tournament to change his hidden potential abilities a little bit. Because mine did have some crit. And obviously now with this build, I feel like you just want 0 crit with him. Like he just does not need crit at all, right? So let's do this. Can we get some STR orbs to drop down at the top? We do not. So we only get 5 orbs. Hopefully they will either kill him or just like not get destroyed here. The good thing about the Broly trio, they're really risky to use, but like if you get 24 key, they give the movie bosses or super bosses allies an extra 10% damage reduction, which would be quite helpful, especially in the showcase setting for that Bojack being able to have that extra bit of defense. But obviously if they get super attacked here, that'd be really awkward. It's very tough using them for this setup. They've got to take 2 attacks. I mean, they have built-in dodge already. Their post-super defense is relatively good because they do get a decent amount of defense on super. I don't know if this Goku Black hits hard enough that, like, he would kill them. I guess, to be fair, one of the things I always forget about this tech-based Goku Black is that he does build up attack by getting hit. So even though he only starts off being able to do, like, 1 million damage with his super attack, he will be doing more now that he's received a bunch of hits, right? So, yeah, that's right. We can take that. I kept Bojack untransformed because he still supports, but yeah, we'll transform him when he comes back around with the physical one, and then we can see what that looks like with a bunch of these extra stats. Because they have things like the Hera Clan and Galactic Warriors, which are not going to get active much with other characters. Yeah, so this is the problem. Like, without support, like, he doesn't have the best link set if you're not running some of the other characters that do go well with him specifically. So, like, only having 290 start of turn, that means he's coming in at just under 600k, then plus the super attack effect after he super attacks. So, I think even though the support that he provides to the team can be really, really good, because it's all allies attack and defense 30% on the rotation, as long as that part of his passive is active, and then all extreme allies get the defense buff, which, you know, with the way this setup is working, we're going to be running him on a full extreme team anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think it does work quite well. I need to see how the orbs are going to fall here to decide where I need to put the Broly trio. Because ideally I would want the... There's not going to be able to make any more orbs at the top, which is ideally what I would want. I could try this, see how these fall. Okay, that's 8 orbs. I think we just avoid any risk and just make sure we get 7 orbs with them. And then, yeah, grab the orbs for Janemba to have his passive active. Because now we shouldn't have any worry of dying on this turn, right? Tech Broly with his transformed passive with the extra damage reduction from the Broly trio. And then Janemba as well. Like, we should be all good here. But yeah, that's the thing I always forget. Like, it's a shame that they didn't have any sort of orb changing by themselves. But then I suppose that would probably make them too OP. Because obviously guaranteed dodge with 7 orbs is pretty crazy. But, like, they get a lot of key extra from orbs. And if you get them to 24 key, that 10% extra damage reduction for the movie bosses and super bosses allies, I feel like is like a hugely overlooked, like really, really good ability they have. Because depending on the type of orbs they pick up, depends on the type of support that they give to the rest of the team. But that 10% damage reduction, regardless of what orbs you pick up, regardless of whether you get 7 or not, if they're at 24 key, they're giving everybody that 10% damage reduction, which is really, really good. So, I mean, the thing is with, like, maybe they'll restrict that kind of thing on purpose for the future, but, like, if movie bosses gets, like, a really good orb changer, or, I mean, even more than one, potentially, then, like, Broly Trio would absolutely be right back in there as a unit that would be good to run on that team. Right, so we got these links active now. Big bad bosses, we got Revival, which gives us an extra 5% defense, as well as some key. Well, key's not really important here. Thirst for Conquest is a good one, attack and defense 15%. And then Galactic Warriors is attack and defense 20%. So just from those 2 links active, Galactic Warriors and Thirst for Conquest, we're getting an extra 35% defense. So he's at 371k start of turn here now, which means that goes up to what, 740, then plus about 160, 70. So he's going up to about 900k defense with guard, but that's on what is pretty much, for this setup anyway, at least his like best turn. So again, when we think about the toughest defense in the game and how much damage these bosses are dealing, if you run this guy on the team, he's definitely providing a lot of benefit to the team, but he's going to be dodge or die against like the most difficult attacks. I mean, I guess if you're running him on a build that does have like Slug, for example, Slug has a Scouter, which could obviously be very helpful. Because yeah, as long as he's not getting hit by a super, yeah, 1.8 million, like, well, 1.7.5, I guess, with guaranteed crits. Then he guards, so he's tanking the normals for double-digit damage. I mean, yeah, he could definitely look good. Like even on this kind of turn with 900k defense and guard, he should be able to survive, not necessarily tank, but if we're on full health, he should survive attacks up to what, like 1.4 million, maybe 1.5. Like if we're on full health, we'll still live. So for some of the, like even some of the tough bosses, he will tank their normals in certain situations, but yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to the hardest fights, like he is just going to be a dodge or die character, especially against Superclass, where Superclass does more damage to him, and some of the toughest fights are Superclass at the moment. So obviously, like either of the Jiren fights or anything like that are obviously going to be doing more damage to him. So yeah, he seems good. I definitely don't want to like say, when we think about how some of the other World Tournament EZAs have been, like some of them are just absolutely terrible. Like, why did they even bother to design this EZA? I'm never going to run them. Like that kind of level of terrible. Whereas this physical Bojack has like a really decent design. Like if he had higher base stats, he would obviously be very good. But you also have to remember that this is his performance on the best possible team setup, where he has a full extreme team. So he's definitely not a unit that you can just throw on a team that has like a bunch of super class characters or like non-space traveling warriors. Because if you're only getting like, you know, 3 or 4 instead of 7 of that per ally 40% buff, then his numbers are going to be even lower, to the point where like he's just not going to be runnable in those kind of events, right? Like if we bring up the stats, we'll end off the video here in a moment, but let me just get up the stats for the Goku Black and Zamasu that we fight in the final phase. Obviously we know their super does tons of damage. It's like 4.2 million, so he's getting killed by that, but their base normal attacks are 1.5 million. So in theory, on his best turn post super, he should at least survive getting hit by one of their normals. And then, of course, the big thing is that if he double supers, and that's one of the things that's kind of hard when you're, like, doing his hidden potential. It's like, I do think dodge is really valuable because it will at least allow you to survive in some of these instances where he would just get killed. But, like, getting that second super is so beneficial for the next rotation. So, I mean, if you are going to put skill orbs in him, then obviously it's dodge and additional are the ways to go. Like I say, he needs absolutely 0 crit. Because if you're running him on, like, what I think should be the proper team build for him, then he's going to have guaranteed crits all the time anyway. So it really doesn't matter too much. But do this, and then do this. I do want to see, like, one turn of him against the AGL Goku Black and Tommaso, just to see if he does actually tank their normals. It's not going to be the turn with Bojack though, which is obviously his best bet. So realistically, what we would want to see for him is we need to get, I know people want to see it anyway, right? A new Bojack versus Gohan, like either dual Dokkan Fest or whatever it's going to be, so we can get the Tech Super Saiyan 2 Gohan EZA. Then they need to bring out a new Bojack that starts off as full power, so these guys can link straight away. And then obviously make him a good enough unit that you're, you know, running double Bojacks on rotation. You've got this guy floating, giving support. They could give the EZA to that Tech Zangya that was the STR Bojack banner unit. And then this guy is going to have the allies that he needs, but also have those links that are giving him the extra stats and everything. And then, yeah, he could have the potential to be decent. Again, like, his defense isn't going to get up to crazy levels, but I suppose it kind of depends what happens with the units that come out, right? Because if they bring out this new Bojack and then they go for the sort of archetype where he is giving, like, all allies damage reduction and support, maybe even with, like, some defense or something, then obviously it could end up being a case where post super attack in slot 3, that Bojack's defense is decent enough, at least for surviving normals, right? I mean, they'd have to be giving him some insane boost of damage reduction or something like that for him to be tanking these, like, 4-5 million damage boss supers. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be a dodge or die support in slot 3, which realistically, as a free-to-play unit, isn't that really all we kind of expect? Like, a free-to-play unit who's a floating support, I think if you are looking at a unit like that and thinking, oh yeah, these guys should be tanking super attacks from the toughest bosses in the game, then your expectations for free-to-play units are way too high. Oh great, he can't, are you serious? We can't get 3 orbs because of that. Great. Alright, well, I guess we will see what happens when he's got no links active. This is really bad. So unfortunately not really a true indication of his abilities here. Just unfortunate that the orbs fell the way they did there. I was not expecting that, especially because we didn't really need to get a lot of key for Janemba, because it's not like he needs to have 24 key. He was already doing his 18 key super, but that's the unfortunate thing as well, I guess, with some of his links. Like the characters that he does link well with, quite a few of his links give key, but obviously with some of these bigger, like some of the main big bad bosses characters, especially the Janembas, he's only really sharing big bad bosses with them. And of course, being a free-to-play unit, he has Shattering the Limit instead of Fierce Battle, which, funnily enough, is a key link, but like nobody else on this team build actually has it, so it's not really all that helpful, unfortunately. Also, I believe though his super attack effect doesn't say self-excluded, right? So he does get the extra defense when he supers as well. So thinking about it, his defense is actually higher than I thought, like throughout the video, because he gets the greatly raise on his super attack effect, but then he should also get the 30% to all extreme allies, right? And he double supered, so wow, okay, yeah. So his defense is actually a lot higher than I thought it was, because even with a double super, like, yeah, he tanked a 1.5 million normal for double digit damage. So maybe it is higher than I thought it was. If anyone can do the exact calcs, do let me know. But yeah, he seems pretty good. Let me know what you guys think of Bojack down below in the comments section. I think for a World Tournament EZA, I would say he is really good considering some of the things that we've gotten. So let me know what you guys think down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master again. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.